Hello there. The mainstream press will be slapping themselves on the back for triggering such a feeding frenzy of political news. Not only has it doubled the chances of the UK rejoining the EU from about 0.001% to about 0.002%, the UK mainstream press has generated miles of column inches to fill their anti-Brexit, pro-EU pages with. But dispatching with Boris is also turning up some unintended consequences. For starters, just before he signalled his resignation, Boris fired off a letter to Nicola Sturgeon, flatly refusing to give her an Indy Ref 2. Now how long will she have to wait? Then there's the mass call by Tory party members to automatically place Boris Johnson's name on the ballot paper so that they can choose between 3 candidates instead of 2. A sort of confirmatory vote that seems to be popular at the grassroots level, especially if they fear having 2 globalist-style Remainers foisted on them to choose from. But such a move would turn the left into a weeping, wailing mess. Now there are reports that many Red Wall voters who opted for Boris are saying, "We knew what we voted for, and we're angry at the way our choice has been ejected from office." Sky News interviewed some of them in Bolton. Very interesting. "We knew what we voted for, warts and all," seems to be the message. But others, more powerful than those Red Wall voters, believe they didn't know what they were voting for and want to reverse the position on their behalf. Sound familiar? And now that Steve Baker is standing aside to back the fiercely pro-Brexit Attorney General, Suella Braverman, as well as the previous favourite with some bookies, Defence Secretary Ben Wallace, deciding to concentrate on the defence of the nation instead of a leadership battle after speaking to family and colleagues, after those two pulled out, we have ended up with Rich Slick Rishi as the emerging new favourite. And he has hit the ground running in 2 days with a very smooth campaign video that has only just been knocked together in the last 48 hours or so, and a website using a URL that he purchased months ago, at the end of last year in fact. It sounds to me like Rishi's knife of Brutus was forged and delivered a long time ago. Now it's been said that Sunak is a Brexiteer, but Vote Leave said all he did was attend one dinner event. But here's what journalist, Brexiteer and former MEP Patrick O'Flynn tweeted earlier. "By the way, I heard direct from a senior government minister this week that Sunak has been deliberately frustrating attempts to get tough with Brussels over the Northern Ireland Protocol. That rather outweighs the one Vote Leave dinner he showed up to during the referendum in my book." And if you watch Rishi's slick video, you will see that apart from a potted family history, he says nothing really. Just watch and see if you agree with me.
Let me tell you a story about a young woman almost a lifetime ago who boarded a plane armed with hope for a better life and the love of her family. This young woman came to Britain, where she managed to find a job, but it took her nearly a year to save enough money for her husband and children to follow her. One of those children was my mother, aged 15. My mum studied hard and got the qualifications to become a pharmacist. She met my dad, an NHS GP, and they settled in Southampton. Their story didn't end there, but that is where my story began. Family is everything to me, and my family gave me opportunities they could only dream of. But it was Britain, our country, that gave them and millions like them the chance of a better future. I got into politics because I want everyone in this country to have those same opportunities, to be able to give their children a better future. Our country faces huge challenges, the most serious for a generation, and the decisions we make today will decide whether the next generation of British people will also have the chance of a better future. Do we confront this moment with honesty, seriousness and determination? Or do we tell ourselves comforting fairy tales that might make us feel better in the moment but will leave our children worse off tomorrow? Someone has to grip this moment and make the right decisions. That's why I'm standing, to be the next leader of the Conservative Party and your Prime Minister. I want to lead this country in the right direction. I ran the toughest department in government during the toughest times when we faced the nightmare of COVID. My values are non-negotiable: patriotism, fairness, hard work. We've had enough of division. Politics at its best is a unifying endeavour, and I have spent my career bringing people together, because that is the only way to succeed. In the coming days and weeks, I will set out my vision for how we can build a better future for our country. I've told you a bit about my story, but I'm running to be our next Prime Minister because it's your stories that matter most. Your futures.
Leading us in the right direction? What does that mean? What right direction? No fairy tales that pleases us in the moment, etc. Which fairy tales? What truths? What right decisions? He could sell any policy alongside that video. More taxation, not upsetting Brussels, fully betray Northern Ireland, sell off the NHS, more net zero green agenda stuff, dropping the Rwanda policy, doing what Sleepy Joe Biden wants. And if you listen to it, check out how many times he mentions Brexit. He claims it will all end up as sweetness and light with him in charge, without telling us how he's going to achieve it. That video slickly tells us the sum total of diddly squat. And that will make him a civil service mandarin's dream Prime Minister. Yes, I know he says at the end that he'll be setting out his stall in the coming weeks. So maybe he's waiting until his advisers and pollsters have had a chance to find out what the decision makers, the Tory party membership, thinks, and then fill the gaps in. But how much we get to know about it will all depend on how supine those journalists and interviewers are. Well, those who are allowed anywhere near him anyway. For example, will they ask Rishi if Brexit is something he views as a fairy tale that he needs to tell us hard truths about? Anyway, if he doesn't get our top job, I'm sure he can get another green card and go and work in the US. And with all his riches, I'm not sure he understands the working classes.
Friends who are aristocrats, I have friends who are upper class, I have friends who are, working class, but I'm not working class, but I'm not working class, but I'm not working class, but.
Do you think he's in tune with anything other than rich globalist bankers and corporations? Now, I think the real reason for ousting Boris was that after the two miserable showings at those by-elections, Tory MPs understood they had a decision to make. Stick with Boris until the next general election and hope nothing else comes to light and that he comes good, or go for broke and ditch him now to give whoever replaces him a couple of years to get bedded in. And they chose the latter, and only time will tell if they've made the right decision.